resilience, initiative, and responsibility. These traits have been the foundation upon which successful people are built for years. And slowly, I see these traits fading away. So, what do I do about it? I tell people to read books highlighting these things. Welcome back to Spill the Ink with the Bookmark Bulletin, your favorite corner of the internet where books don't just sit pretty on shelves, they practically jump off of them with stories to spill. I'm Faith, your caffeine fueled curator of chaotic reads, bizarre plot twists, and the occasional literary meltdown. From forgotten paperbacks to hyped up hardcovers, I'll be dissecting pages with questionable opinions, wild theories, and an unapologetic love for the smell of old books. So grab your beverage of choice, maybe a highlighter you'll never use, and let's dive into today's bookish mayhem. First up is the series with the youngest recommended reading age, The Boxcar Children. Looking back at these books as an adult, the timeline makes zero sense. The first book is set in the 1920s, and subsequent books are set anywhere from 1949 to today, relative to the publishing date. The first several books were actually written by Gertrude Chandler Warner. However, the rest of the series was ghostwritten by other authors after her death. Most of them are mysteries, a handful are more family backstory, family bonding stories, but the majority of them include mysteries. And it's about four very independent children and some side character independent children who are still really good at turning to the adults in their lives for help. Next up is the classic My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George. Sam Gribley is from a family who left the land for the sea years ago, but this 12-year-old is convinced that the land is calling him back. So he packs his stuff and moves to his great grandfather's land in the Catskill Mountains, a 12-year-old by himself, after spending hours in his local library researching how to live off the land. It's a great low suspense read for most ages, and it will make you wonder if a 12-year-old boy can do it, why can't I? One of my favorite authors of books about kids being bold enough to challenge the status quo is Andrew Clements. His school story books were ones that I would hunt down every summer across all the branches of my local library. First up is Frendel, about a boy who invents a new word and the English teacher who tries to stop it. Next up is The Report Card, about a girl who's a literal genius and decides she's just tired of the pressure to fulfill her potential and decides to become normal. The Landru News is about a girl who starts her own newspaper at school and has to learn to balance honesty and grace while still being a good journalist. Lunch Money is about a very enterprising boy who starts a comic book business at school, and it's thriving until the school decides to shut it down. And finally, my personal favorite, The School Story. This book is about a girl who writes a book, and her and her best friend decide they want to get it published. Lucky for her, her mom's a publisher, right? Wrong. She wants to get this book published through her mother's publishing house without her mother ever finding out that her daughter wrote this book. And her best friend is right there to help her the entire time. And finally, the author Avi. Avi writes historical fiction across multiple centuries about teenagers who have to do hard things, whether that is solving a medieval murder, keeping a one room schoolhouse open without any adults or authorities finding out that a 16-year-old is the teacher, or becoming a spy for the Americans during the Revolution. But one of my favorite books by Avi is The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. On a voyage across the Atlantic in 1832, 13-year-old Charlotte gets caught up between a cruel captain and a mutinous crew. She gains an enemy and even has to stand trial for murder. Some honorable mention books that almost made the list but just didn't quite would be The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, The Wanderer by Sharon Creech, The Sisters in Time series by various authors, The City of Ember by Jeanne Duprow, and The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. And that's a wrap on this chapter. If your TBR pile isn't teetering yet, am I even doing my job? Hit that like button like a plot twist you never saw coming. Subscribe for more literary shenanigans. And remember, T is for scandal, ink is for books about independent children. Spill accordingly. Stay curious, stay quirky, and I'll see you between the lines.